In the last episode, we unboxed the hardware monster that is the Arduino Uno Q. We saw the Qualcomm Dragonwing processor, the STM32 real-time controller, and that insane high-density design. But hardware is just a paperweight without software. Today we boot it up, run our first app, and then we need to have a serious conversation because this board changes everything about how we learn electronics, and I'm not sure if everyone is going to like it. Welcome back to part 2. Let's relive the boot process, but this time let's talk about what is actually happening. When I plug in the USB C and turn on the power, the whole Uno Q board doesn't just turn on. The STM32 microcontroller comes up instantly. That's why you see the LED matrix flash immediately. It's the system manager checking voltages and waiting for input. When I hit the power button, it sends a wake up signal to the Qualcomm PMIC, which then sequences the power rails for the main QORB2210 processor. Linux kernels load, drivers initialize, and within seconds, we are in the Uno Q desktop experience. Immediately, the system asks us to set a password. Once that's done, it takes us straight to the network setup. Now we are on the desktop. The architecture here is standard Debian Linux. I've used this kind of OS for years. It brings back memories of my college days moving from Fedora to Ubuntu. It feels very familiar, which is a huge plus. Let me quickly change the display ratio and resolution to match my monitor. I'm using an LG 29-inch ultra-wide, so I need a resolution of 1920 by 1080 and a 16 by 9 aspect ratio. Click apply and the display reboots with the updated settings. Much better. Now let's open AppLab. Immediately the system checks for an update. And yes, we have one available. Let's start that. This isn't like flashing firmware with a programmer anymore. It's an over-the-air update just like your phone. All done. Update successfully applied. Let's restart the app lab. We have 3 quick steps to complete before we can actually start using the software. First, board configuration. Give your board a name. Since we already completed the network setup during the initial boot up, it skips that step automatically. That is genuinely good user experience design. And finally, for security, verify your Linux credentials. That's all. Boom. Arduino App Lab is ready. The layout here is interesting. On the left, you have My Apps. This is where your projects live. Then we have Examples, which is where we are now. Then Bricks. Arduino introduced this concept recently. It's a powerful modular way of developing projects, but we will explore that in a separate video. On the bottom left, you have the Learn section and the board details. Crucially, down here you have the storage, RAM, and CPU monitors. This gives you real-time insight into your resource utilization while running specific apps. Very pro. And of course, plenty of room in the center for code and debugging. We have a lot of examples available. To begin, I'm going to load the weather monitor. The moment we open it, we are greeted with a README file explaining the project, the code blocks, and even a customization guide. It is super friendly for beginners. Let's go to the sketch first. In the old days, you'd be checking COM ports. Here, I just click run, boom. It automatically fetches the weather information from OpenMeteo via the onboard Wi-Fi and displays the current weather for the default location right there on the LED matrix. Currently in Turin, Italy, it is cloudy. Let's try to break it. I'll clone this project to a new app. I'll rename the app, go to the sketch, and get into the config section. I'm changing the city from Turin to Bengaluru. Click run, instant update. According to the Uno Q, it is raining outside in Bengaluru. Let me verify that with Google Weather. And yes, right now in Bengaluru, it's raining. The Arduino Uno Q is spot on. The software side is clearly easy. but it takes immense complexity on the hardware side to deliver this kind of seamless experience. The kind of complexity that relies on professional tools. Quick fact, do you know how the Arduino team actually designs these complex high density boards? It's no secret. Even before the acquisition, I was browsing the Altium website and boom, there it was, Arduino right there in the Hall of Fame, listed among heavy hitters like BMW, Dell, and Amazon. They all rely on Altium for their multidisciplinary electronics wizardry. Why do they rely on Altium? Because it is the premier PCB design software that helps designers bring concepts to production. And here is the best part for you guys. Similar to Apple, Altium has a strategy to help students gain practical skills. Through Altium Student Labs, you can gain the expertise needed to land internships and careers with top hardware companies. Whether you're a beginner or looking to sharpen your skills for your resume, Altium guides you every step of the way. I've left a link in the description. Joining the Altium education program is a fantastic way to future proof your career. Check it out. Okay, that was easy. Too easy. And that is exactly what I want to talk about. The ease of modifying and deploying this app is incredible. But this convenience comes at a cost. New learners might never see what is happening under the hood. Before this, you had to write C++, manually manage memory, compile the binary, and upload it. You had to fight with dependency hell. Do you remember that? You tried to run a project, but your sensor library was the wrong version and the code wouldn't compile. You had to hunt down header files, fix linker errors, and understand the toolchain. The Uno Q and AppLab abstract all of that away. The libraries are containerized, the dependencies are managed automatically. You don't compile and upload, you just deploy. We have removed the friction. But did we also remove the learning? I hear people saying this isn't real engineering anymore. But think about it this way. Thousands of years ago, if you wanted fire, you had to strike two stones together. You had to understand friction, tinder, and airflow. Then we invented the Matchbox. When the Matchbox came out, did we complain that people forgot how to use flint and steel? No. We celebrated that we could make fire instantly and focus on cooking the food. The Uno Q is the Matchbox. It lets us focus on the application, the computer vision model, the IoT logic, rather than fighting with a linker error. And for those of you who do want to understand the primitive methods, the beauty of the Unoku is that it doesn't stop you. In fact, it lets you go deeper than a standard Arduino ever could. Because this is Linux, you can open the terminal, you can look at the kernel logs, you can write a raw Python script that talks directly to the hardware drivers. You can even bypass the Linux processor and write raw C code for the STM32 controller, managing real-time interrupts manually. The primitive knowledge isn't gone, it's just optional now. The ceiling has been raised, but the basement is still accessible if you have the courage to go down there. So, no, I don't think the ease of use is a drawback. It's an invitation. It invites beginners to build amazing things instantly. And it invites pros to stop wasting time on setup and start building the future. Speaking of the future, now that we have the weather app running, what happens if we combine this camera interface with that neural processing unit? In the next video, we are going to give this board eyes. You don't want to miss that. Hit the subscribe button so you're notified when the Vision project drops. Thanks for watching and keep building.